this transient reverb in here is different than this tonal reverb. These are not the same reverb effect. They're tuned totally differently under the hood. The transient reverb favors like a high high modal density. So it's a lot lusher and denser because we're not expecting like all kinds of tonal pitched material into it. Whereas the tonal reverb has a high echo density because we're not expecting a bunch of like sharp attacks into it, right? So like they actually work well on those different kinds of signals. So what can be cool with that is if you have like the example I'm going to show here is a guitar performance that's like tapping, right? Like a tapped acoustic guitar. And those taps are pretty sharp. So if I were just to run that through a regular reverb, those taps would enter the reverb and then just kind of like splatter and smear everywhere. And if we remove those beforehand, you can get a much smoother reverb, right? So go ahead and play this dry so we can hear what it sounds like. All right, so now I'll go ahead and set up the split real fast. All right, so I've got all those taps in that transient channel. I also just want to point out with no effects, there's a kind of a cool, you're kind of hearing it here, there's a cool auto bowing effect if you just crank transient decay and solo tonal. Like, for instance, I'll just exaggerate this. You know, it's like a guitar, but it's not being strummed, right? So there's kind of a cool sound designy thing there that you can play with. Anyways, go back to where we were. Turn on this reverb. Right, so you've got that reverb, but there's none of that like clattering tapping going in, where I'll go ahead and just push it all the way tonal, so we hear the full signal through. So you hear that like tapping fluttering around in the early reflections of the reverb, right? So you can get really kind of clean, just lusher, more transparent reverbs that way. And inversely, you could do stuff on the transient if you have like a drum loop and you want to just get like a lighter reverb that's not like getting filled with all the body of the drum and such. It works great there.